Hi, my name's Avanelle Savage with Avi's Place Creations, and today we're going to be making the clearly colorful wristlet. So for this portion of the video, we'll be looking at steps 1 through 6. Before we begin, there's a couple of tips I'd like to give you on using the waterproof Oxford fabric. If you're using a waterproof fabric or an outdoor type fabric, the seams don't want to lay right and it doesn't crease well. So I use a leather roller to roll my seams flat and to, if I need to make creases, that helps it to crease, and then you can clip it easier. You can use like an ivory bone tool. Anything that you can get down on and make a good crease with will work. So let's begin with this portion of the video. We're going to be needing one piece D, which is the pocket, the front and back pocket, 2 of piece C, and you'll need one that has your line drawn on it that you did in your preparations, and 1 zipper, 2 of piece B, and 1 of the exterior piece A. So let's lay some of these aside and we'll get started. So your first step is you're going to take your piece D, your vinyl, and we're going to put 1 piece C face down, would be the one without your line, face down on the top side of your vinyl. Clip that into place. Align it with the top edge of your vinyl, flip it over, take the other piece that has your line marked on it, and place it face down with your mark, the line pointing towards the bottom of your bag. Go ahead and clip those. So now you've got your vinyl sandwiched between 2 pieces of fabric in pattern piece C. So I want you to do is go to your sewing machine and make a 1/4 inch seam to join all 3 of these pieces. Then you finish your 1/4 inch seam. You'll flip these pieces up and do a top stitch line on the other side. And we'll go through that a little bit more in depth when we get this seam finished. So step over to your machine and let's sew. Okay, so I've got that joined, and now I'm going to press these 2 pieces up away from my seam, both front and back. And I'll clip those together just to hold it in place while I do my top stitching. And let's go back over to the machine now and make your top stitch line right along the edge of that piece of fabric. Okay, so you should have your top stitching done and both sides look good. So now let's lay this piece aside and excuse me. In step 2, I'm going to show you how I do my zippers. I purchase my zippers, of course, by the yard, zippers by the yard, nylon coil, and I will cut my zipper a 1/2 inch longer than what I need. So we want our zippers from the end of the teeth to the other end of the teeth to be 10.5 inches. So I'm going to cut this zipper at 11 inches because I need to put the zipper pull on. A lot of people struggle with the zipper pulls, but I have a method that I like to use, and it's not hard. You can take it apart and do it over again if you need to, but in giving you an extra 1/2 inch to work with to get your zipper pull on. So I look at my my zipper and determine which end of it has the tooth on the right hand side to the right hand side at the top. If it's not at the top, then I'll trim that other tooth off. So I want the top one to be on the right hand side, and I open that up a little bit, and then I'm going to trim into the teeth and cut that zipper tape off right up against the teeth on this right hand side. The left hand side, I'm going to go in and cut that off. So I've got a piece sticking up here to start my zipper pull. Then I take the zipper pull, and with the head, which is the rounded end pointed down, I feed the end of that teeth zipper pull, a zipper end, into the right side of my zipper, and then move it down a little bit and take the other side and slide that into the zipper. So I've got a zipper that looks like this. Now I don't want a bubble in it, so I want to back that off a little bit. You probably have to lay it down to do that, and back that off a little bit to where I feel like both sides are going to line up evenly. Sometimes you have to kind of work with it a little bit, but that's okay. You'll get more proficient as you practice it. And then you put your finger on the right hand side of your zipper, your thumb on the teeth, and just slide that pull on. Now, I have a little bit of a bubble on this side, which I don't want, so I'm going to take that off and do it again until I get it to the place where I feel good about it, till it looks even on both sides. There we go. So now we've got the zipper pull. Looks correct to me. Then I trim this end off, like that. Now, I've got my from the end of these teeth to the end of these is 10.5 inches. And that's what you want your zipper to be before you put your tabs on. So now, for the sake of the video, I have already done my zipper tabs. But for the sake of the video, I'm going to show you how I would do the zipper tabs. So I take some double-sided tape and put a little piece of double-sided tape on the end of my zipper, just like that, on both the top and the bottom, the front and the back, on both ends. Flip it over to the back side. Okay, so you've got double-sided tape on both sides of the zipper. Peel the end of your covering off the double-sided tape and stick your zipper tab down onto the front side of your zipper. Flip it over and do the same thing on the back side. That just holds those tabs and the zipper in place so that they don't slip on you when you are stitching them together. You do both sides. Then you go to your machine and you're going to make a 1/4 inch seam right across the end of your zipper tab. When you get all of your tabs sewn on like that, you'll flip the tab back and make a top stitch line right along there at 1/8 of an inch, and that secures your zipper tab. So you will end up with a zipper tab that looks like this, front and back, with your zipper sandwiched between on both ends. So that's how I do my zippers for this bag. So now that if you want to go to your sewing machine and do that, then we'll move on with the video, and we'll go to step number 3, and we're going to fold this middle piece down, not the one with the line, but the front side. We're going to fold it down to kind of keep it out of the way so you can work on the back side of that piece. Just go ahead and clip those down. Then I'm going to turn this back piece down to meet your line. The top edge is going to be folded down to meet your line, and that will give you a 1/4 inch fold. Once you have that creased down, go ahead and take some clips and clip that fold down so that it stays in place. So once you have your back piece folded down on the top edge, we're going to take it down, release the clip from the front side, and fold the bottom down and clip it into place. Because now we're going to work with the front side of this piece. Lay it on your table, get your zipper, and put some double-sided tape on both long edges of your zipper. So you've got a piece of double-sided tape on the bottom edge of your zipper as well as the top edge. So now take the covering off your bottom edge of your double-sided tape, off the bottom edge of your zipper. And flip it over and lay it face down on the top edge of this front piece of piece C. Now you're going to have 1/8 inch basically on each end of your zipper that is on the bottom piece that is longer than your zipper. That's okay. We try to avoid thicknesses in our seams by doing that. So your bottom piece is going to be about 1/8 inch longer than your zipper on both ends. Just go ahead and center that on your piece C, the front piece. And then take it to the sewing machine and make a stitch line 1/4 inch to attach your zipper. Okay, so we've got the zipper attached to the front side of piece C, and I'm going to flip the back over and put a row of, or a piece of double-sided tape within that seam allowance that I just made on the back side, so that when I flip it over and press it down, it'll adhere, since this fabric doesn't like to make creases or crisp seams. This will help it. Now I'll fold this up. My zipper goes to the top, and I'll press this down so that it is up against that double-sided tape. And that will give me a crisp edge on the front side, so that when I do my top stitching, I've got everything in place where it needs to be. Just roll to give that a quick roll to kind of help that double-sided tape to stick to the fabric. Now I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to put another piece of double-sided tape within that same seam allowance, only on this side. Okay, now I'm going to lay my folded edge up onto that double-sided tape. Take my clips out as I go and lay that folded edge down so that it's on top of the double-sided tape, and it will give me a pretty edge to my seam on the pocket, the inside pocket. Okay, give that a quick press. Flip it over, and I'm going to go to the sewing machine and make a row of top stitching from one end of this fabric to the other end. Okay, we're ready for step 5 now, so get your piece that you've been working on and pull the covering off the double-sided tape on the top edge of your zipper. You'll need 2 pieces of B, pattern piece B. Take one pattern piece B and lay it face down. Make sure my fish are headed up the right direction. Lay it face down on top of your zipper, centering it so that you've got 1/8 inch on each side of your zipper, that is of your pattern piece C, that is longer, or pattern piece B, I'm sorry, that is longer than your zipper. Go ahead and stick that down. Flip it over. Align the other edge. Clip it together. And take it to your sewing machine, and you're going to make another stitching with 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way down this to join your zipper installation with your 2-piece Bs. So let's go to the machine and do that. Okay, so now we've got that joined, those pieces joined to the zipper. We're going to press the 2-piece B pieces away from the zipper. Press them towards the top of your bag. And you can use a couple of clips to hold those together so that the front and the back are aligned properly at the top when you do your top stitching. So now you'll go back to the sewing machine and do a top stitch line right here from one end to the other of your fabric. Okay, so you should have your top stitching line done now on this top side of your zipper. And we can take those clips off. And now get your piece A, your exterior piece A. Lay it face up on your table and lay your completed front pocket piece on top of piece A. Line up your edges and clip these 2 pieces together at the top. What we're going to do is to stitch all the way around these 2 pieces with a basting stitch so that we can join them to make one front bag exterior piece. Now, this vinyl kind of likes to slide around, so I take a little bit of double-sided tape and put it just a few pieces around the edge so that it doesn't scoot whenever I stitch it. Don't need many pieces, just keep it kind of tacked together until you can get it basted. Fold that down and press it together so that your vinyl will stay in place. Okay, so now we're ready to go to the machine again, and we're going to make a stitch line, a basting stitch line as close to the edge as you can get all the way around this piece. Okay, so now if you made your basting stitch all the way around these two pieces, we've got one piece, one side of your bag completed. You've got a zippered pocket here. And so we're going to lay this piece aside. And what I would like for you to do is go back with your other pieces and do your second side just like you did this one. So you'll do steps 1 through 6 again with the exception of your zippers, and you should already have a prepared zipper to go in your second side. So if you'll do that, I'll meet you back here in a few minutes. Now for the next few steps, we're going to construct our wristlet. So get your 2" by 15" piece and flip it over, and on one short end place a piece of double-sided tape on the edge. Peel the top covering off and fold that short end in 1/4 of an inch. Now take and fold that piece in half, the long edges, and fold it in half. Crease that so it stays. And take each of your long edges and fold them in towards that center crease. Once you get your edges creased, go ahead and fold both of those to the center and in half and clip them together. Now you want a 1/2 inch strap is what we're working towards. So take this piece to the machine now and make a top stitch line of stitching all the way down the long edge, across the bottom, and back up the other one till you finish up here. You want a top stitch line all the way around this strap. Okay, once you get your top stitching done all the way around the edge of your strap, you're ready to install your swivel clasp. Take your 1/2 inch swivel clasp, and the folded end of your strap will be fed through the end of the swivel clasp, like that. Fold it over about 1 inch. Then take your raw edge and insert it between these two pieces of your strap so that it looks like that. It's sandwiched in there. Okay, then take your hole punch and make a hole for your rivet about in the center of your strap piece there, about 3/8 of an inch from the edge of your where you've joined those two pieces together in your end. Make a hole for your rivet. I think mine went all the way through. There we go. And take your rivet, feed it through that hole front to back, put the other end of your double cap rivet on, snap that down, and then set your rivet. I use a rivet press for this, so I've got mine up here, and let's just go ahead and set that rivet. There we go. So now you've got a wristlet strap. So now we're going to do the D-ring tab connector. So you take your 2x3 inch piece and go the same process that you did with the other, with the exception of you don't have to, you can leave both raw edges on the short end. But go ahead, fold it in half, crease it, fold both long edges to the center. Fold them in half, so you have a 1/2 inch tab connector. Put them together, take it to the machine and do your top stitching around all 4 edges of this piece as well, just like you did your strap. Okay, now that you've got your top stitching done on that, take your D-ring and feed your strap connector through the D-ring, fold it in half, take it to your machine and make a line of stitching right across there as close as you can get to the edge of your D-ring. I'll turn around here and do that since it's not a long sewing process. So there's your tab finished. Now get your exterior piece that's going to be your front, so one of your 2 pieces, and take your D-ring connector and place it in the tab area with your that's facing your zipper pull. Put it in there. You want about a 1/2 inch hanging over the edge. Go ahead and clip that in place. And then we'll go to the machine and make a stitch 1/8 of an inch right along that edge so that we can attach it to the front. And even though I'm using an industrial machine, as the pattern states, your bag can be made on a domestic machine. I'm just more comfortable using my industrial, but I do have an HD9 that I use for these types of bags as well. So just make yours on whatever machine you have. Be aware that if you have a home machine, a domestic machine, that you may have some difficulties with some of the thicknesses. So go slow and easy in those areas. So now we've got our tab attached to our front piece. Let's lay that piece aside. Let's get our zipper, our top zipper, because we're going to do our zipper installation now. And that's going to be steps 10 through 13. So take your zipper and get some double-sided tape on both edges of your zipper. Retrieve your front piece again, and we're going to install the top zipper. So take your double-sided tape covering off the bottom edge of your zipper. And since I like my zippers to open from left to right, I always have my zipper pull facing the left. So flip your zipper over and center it on the top of your exterior piece. You will have about 1/8 of an inch of your exterior piece that is longer than your zipper. Go ahead and get that stuck down. Make sure your alignment is edge to edge of both your zipper and your front piece. Now get one of your piece A lining pieces, and we're going to put that on the other side, on this side of your zipper, so that your zipper is sandwiched between your exterior piece and your lining. Clip those together. And take them to your sewing machine and make your stitch 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way from end to end on this first part of the top zipper installation. Okay, so now you should have your zipper installed on the top half, top side, the front side, and so now we're going to press that down. And we're going to press the front. This seam will be a little bit thicker than the other seams. You've got your lining included in that seam. And make sure you get that as close to the stitching as you can. Click those together so that they both are held down away from the zipper, so that when you do your top stitching, you'll be able to catch your lining and it will be away from your zipper and won't get caught in your zipper teeth. Now, the next step we're going to do is our top stitching, and we're going to top stitch from the tab, not clear to the end, but from the tab all the way across the front to the other tab. So we're not going to stitch all the way to the ends of your fabric with this top zipper. Just start at one tab and end at the other one. Take that to your machine and let's do our top stitching. Okay, so now we should have our top stitching from tab to tab, and I like to trim the seam in this area and to take some of the thickness out of it. So I'm going to trim this down just a little bit on both sides. Make sure you don't get into your zipper tape, but just in the tab area. Trim that down a little bit so your seam will not be so thick when we join the front to the back. Okay, So now, get your other exterior piece and take the covering off of your zipper, off the double-sided tape. Lay that exterior piece down on top of your zipper and center it so we can install the other half of the zipper in this step. Flip it over, get the other lining piece, your back piece, and put it face down so your zipper is sandwiched between the exterior and the lining on this side as well, just like we did on the other side. Clip it together. Take it to your machine with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Go ahead and join these two pieces to your zipper. Okay, so now we've got our second half joined. Go ahead and trim your seam allowances like we just did on the front side. And we're going to press these two sides and do our top stitching on this side of the bag. If you have a label that you want to put inside your bag, I put it on the back side of my bag on the lining, and I had already done that, but you can do that. Just do it before you join these two pieces together. It's a little bit easier that way. Okay, now we're ready to do the top stitching on this side of the bag. So again, we're going to start at the tab and finish at the other end of the tab. So not all the way to the end of your fabric, just from tab to tab. So let's take it to the machine and do that. Okay, so your bag should look like this now with top stitching done on all the zippers. So now we're going to join the front to the back. So we need to open the zipper at least 3/4 of the way. Take your front exterior pieces and join them right sides together. You want to align your zippers so you've got your seams correctly aligned. They won't be offset. So go ahead and do that. Some clips here. I do that first on both sides. And then go ahead and get your front and back aligned. Vinyl likes to stick together, so you have to work with it a little bit. Make sure I've got you where you can see this next step. Okay, so now what we want to do is where your tab is, push that towards the back, the lining, and take your seams and push them to the back as well. And do both sides that way. Push that tab down to the back and push your seams towards the back. And clip those together. And then clip the rest of the way around your lining till you get to the bottom. And on the bottom we're going to leave about a 5 to 6 inch hole that will be our turning hole. So we're not going to stitch all the way around. We're going to leave a gap in the middle so we can turn our bag through it. Okay, and what you're going to do is starting at one end of your turn hole, this being your turn hole, start stitching all the way around the exterior of your bag and end up at the other side. Use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so now you've got your bag stitched together. Before we turn it, I like to go into the corners and just make a few notches in each corner so that when I turn it, I have a smoother corner. Now don't go too deep or you'll cut your stitch line. We don't want to do that. But just take a little narrow V-shaped piece out of your corner. It helps that corner to lay down flatter. If you do get into your stitch line, just make sure you check that before you go and turn your bag so that you can restitch that little piece there, that little area. Sometimes I do a double line of stitching anyway, just to give it a little more reinforcement on that exterior seam. So looks like I'm okay on my stitches. I think I will give that one a little bit of a reinforcement because it is a little close. And while I'm here, I'll just go ahead and reinforce the other corner as well. Okay, we're good now. So here's your little notches. The stitch line that I cut into was not the one that stitches the front and back together, but it was the one that stitches the pocket to the lining piece. So we're good. Okay, so once you get your bag stitched all the way around, we're going to reach into the bag and turn it the right side out. Sometimes your vinyl wants to stick together, so one of the things that you can do to alleviate that is to use your hair dryer and warm that vinyl up a little bit. Makes it a little bit more flexible so it doesn't stick so tightly together. but you'll want to push those corners out. And then you can use your bone tool to turn that, get those corners pressed out good if you need to. Okay, so once you get your corners turned out, pushed out, you'll want to go into your bag and at the tabs and push those tabs out. Then I'm going to close up the turning hole. So press your seam allowances to the inside and clip that together. And you just want to take a real narrow stitch line here, just all the way across that turning hole so you can get it closed. So I'll step over to the machine and do that. So once you get that turning hole closed, then you'll just push your lining back into the inside of your bag. Get your corners pushed out good. Close your zipper. The last thing that you'll want to do is to put a rivet in your tab right there above your zipper in that tab area so that your D-ring has some extra security and strength. And then put your wristlet on, and your bag is finished. So that's the end of the video for the clearly colorful wristlet. I hope that you've enjoyed it and it's been helpful to you and that you'll be able to make lots of little bags with this pattern. Thanks so much.